Here's what we'll cover in this Caro-Kann defense lesson. First, the baseline theory, the main line you need to know. Next, why every one of these moves actually works. Then the key variations you're likely to run into. And finally, a common beginner mistake and exactly how to punish it. The Caro-Kann is how you answer e4 without getting attacked, and it is solid, it is hard to break, and it solves the one problem that ruins most beginner defenses, the bad bishop. One pawn move on move one is what makes the whole thing work. White takes the center and opens lines for the queen and bishop. Standard, aggressive, and the most popular first move in chess. And here is the Caro-Kann. It looks like nothing, but c6 is preparing to challenge the center with d5 backed up by the c pawn instead of the e pawn. Remember that because it decides the whole game. White builds the big center. Two pawns abreast, controlling everything in the middle. This is exactly what black has to challenge. Straight away, black hits e4 and notice what is holding d5 up. The c pawn. In the French, black would use the e pawn here, and that one difference is why the Caro-Kann is the better opening for most players. White develops and defends the e4 pawn at the same time, the most natural move on the board. Black releases the tension and takes. This is the main line. Black is not trying to hold the center forever, just to trade off white's strongest pawn. White recaptures with the knight, landing it on a fine central square. Material is level and the position looks harmless, but watch this bishop because this is the moment the whole opening was built for. There it is. The bishop walks straight out of the pawn chain, hitting the knight on the way. This is the payoff for playing c6 instead of e6 on move 1. In the French, this bishop stays locked behind its own pawns for the entire game. White gains time by kicking the bishop. Fair enough, but this knight is heading to the edge and the bishop is not in any real danger. The bishop steps back one square and it is still outside the chain, still on a clean diagonal pointing at white's queenside. Black will follow with e6 and this time that pawn traps nothing. That is the Caro-Kann in one picture. Solid, no weaknesses, and the good bishop already out. Now the two ways white will actually try to punish you. The most common answer you will meet. Instead of trading, white pushes past and grabs space, locking the center. It is aggressive, and it is also the version that hands black exactly what black wants. Out comes the bishop immediately before anything can lock it in. Same idea as the main line one move earlier. White develops and props up the pawn chain. The center is fixed now, so both sides know exactly where to play. And now e6 is completely safe because the bishop is already outside. Play these two moves in the wrong order and you have a French defense with a bad bishop instead. White has more space, but black has the better bishop and a simple plan: hit the base of the chain with c5. Chip away at d4 and white's space advantage falls apart. White trades in the center first. This looks like it should be dull and equal. It is not. Black recaptures with the c pawn, as always, keeping a healthy structure and a half-open c file. This is the Panov, and it is the sharpest thing white has. The pawn hits d5 straight away, and white plays for a fast attacking game with an isolated pawn. Black develops and defends d5 at the same time, the only sensible move. And white piles on again. If you play the Caro-Kann expecting a quiet life, this is the line that will surprise you. It plays much more like a queen's gambit than anything else in this video. Back to the main line, right after the bishop came out. White has a natural developing move here that drops a pawn on the spot and almost nobody sees it coming. It looks perfectly sensible. The queen develops, the rooks connect, white is ready to castle queenside, but count the defenders of d4. Before this move, there was exactly one, the queen. She has just walked away from the job. So black just takes it. A free center pawn, and nothing can chase the queen off the square. White tries to win some time back by kicking the bishop. It is the right idea, but it is a move too late. Because the bishop does not retreat. It steps forward instead, and now it is the white queen that is attacked. Black is gaining time while a pawn up. White has to block with a pawn and shove the king side forward to do it. A pawn down, the king still in the middle, and holes appearing. All from one natural-looking queen move. The fix is simple. Kick the bishop first with the knight to g3, which is the engine's top choice, and only move that queen once something else is guarding d4.